it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman to tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel to air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman to tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. Take off. I'm on a rocket, a space dog. Bought a new car from Elon, wanna race. I've been asking how long is it gonna take. I've been cracking the car, had to break it safe. I've been writing my wrongs, had to change my ways. I was stuck in one place, so I had to shake. They try holding me down, but I found my way. Roddy Rich and no bicycle love me. Ride away till my heart went all ice again. Find the balance, my patience been going thin. In the field every day till I reach the end. Popping up on your side like we out of bounds. Ain't no way that they think that it's stopping now. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. Air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman to tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel to air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman to tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out.
What's up, football fans, and welcome to the Air It Out podcast. My name is Avery. If you didn't know, now you know. My name is Avery. I'm the host of the Air It Out podcast, and as you can see, I'm joined with two distinguished, handsome young gentlemen, Mr. Juan and Only. Say what's up to the people, Juan.
What's up, everybody? Yes, I do have pink in my hair, and I don't care because it is in celebration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So go out there and support people.
That's right. That's right. You might want to turn the light on so we can see, put some shine on that thing. You know what I mean? And Chris Thomas is back in the building again, an OG Air It Out podcaster. Say what's up to Chris.
What's going on? What's going on, man?
How you feeling, man?
It's a beautiful day here. It's always sunny here in Philadelphia. What a wonderful time to be a Philadelphia sports fan right now.
God. Oh, goodness gracious.
Undefeated, the only undefeated team in the NFL. Phillies playoff drought is over. Sixers season starts next Tuesday. Union number 1 in the MLS, and the Flyers. Yeah, the Flyers.
Okay.
Don't go around thinking you're Boston now, all right? Like, we're not there yet.
Yeah. This is what I don't like is the Eagles being undefeated. Shout out to the Phillies making it to the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Phillies fan, so shout out to that. But outside of that, I like the Sixers. I'm not a Sixers fan, but I like the Sixers. So I guess you could call me a fan. They're just not my team. I'm a fan of the Sixers. They're not my team. And I don't hate the Eagles. I just can't stand Eagles fans.
Listen, you can't kill my mood.
So hey, listen. You're undefeated. You should be screaming it from the hilltops.
First time since 2004 we had a 4-0 start.
Listen,
we did that year.
You should run up the rocky steps and scream your heart out because this is absolutely amazing. The last time I believe y'all went to the Super Bowl, correct, or something?
Correct.
Like that. So
and what happened in that Super Bowl? Just trying to remember.
Yikes! Yikes!
Yeah. Hey, Juan, when was the last time the Jets went to a Super Bowl?
Ooh, yikes! Ouch! All right.
Was your parents even born yet?
You hurt me because you love me, Chris Thomas. You hurt me because you love me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Air About Podcast, and as you can see, we've already got the fireworks going. A little spicy today. Just a little bit of the spice dropped in already. But let's get into our first topic, man. And obviously, it's the big question, man. I think everybody kind of knows what's going on here or has their own feelings about it. And so the question really becomes the big question. Should Tua have been playing in the game after we saw what happened in the previous game? If you do not know what I'm speaking of, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, in not this past game, but the game prior against the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
He ends up getting slammed to the ground and sat. Well, I don't know. He got the ball away, but ends up getting slammed to the ground and hits his head on the ground. He then gets up and literally stumbles. I'm talking about almost falls forward, like it looked terrible. Like it looked like he was, I mean, like on a plank, like on a tightrope somewhere, and was like, it was really bad. Um, they took him out of the game. They did their concussion protocol test with the team doctors, and from there they cleared him to play. You finished the game. The Dolphins ended up winning that game. The next game, they play the Cincinnati Bengals, and he gets sacked again. This time, he gets landed on, and again, his head hits the ground. But this time, Tua is clearly knocked out cold. I mean, his hands, his arms, everything tensed up and tightened up. And he was pulled from that game. He was actually carted off and carted to a Cincinnati local hospital and had tests run on him. Thankfully, he was able to leave the hospital even that evening and fly back with his team, but he was deemed to have had a concussion. So the question becomes, should Tua have been playing in that game at all? And so I'll let you lead this one off. Chris, what do you think about the Dolphins' handling of the situation? Should Tua have been playing in that game?
Well, hindsight is now like 2020 when it comes to the answer saying no. But when you look at that hit that he took against the Buffalo Bills and him stumbling around looking like a drunk, I mean, there is no reason why, especially on a short week where it's nearly impossible for him to be in that situation. Not only for him to, he shouldn't even gotten back to the game against Buffalo, let alone him being able to be medically cleared by Thursday. However, some people said the only reason why it's not a big story is because in the end, because the spotlight's on him. But even still, then the Dolphins have not done a good job in terms of protecting Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, this is finally the first full all season they fully come 100% healthy. Remember, rookie year he had to deal with the hip injury. Then last year he dealt with an injury earlier in the season, and now there's a situation in which he gets back-to-back concussions in a game. The Miami Dolphins have not prioritized in terms of protecting him, and as an organization, and I said this like during my show, like me and my co-host, we talked about this in terms of the relationships between coaches and GMs and their quarterbacks. In the end, like the franchises are the parents, and your franchise and the rest of and your quarterbacks and the rest of the players, they're like your kids. You need to do whatever it takes to protect your kids from harm's way, and that's not what the Dolphins did with Tua Tagovailoa. And it's say what you want about him, is he Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert? Like that's not the point right now. But all I know is this: is that I don't think if Miami had Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow, they would have put him in harm's way in the way they have done Tua. And this has just been going an ongoing pattern in terms of Miami Dolphins just being a completely sloppy shop. We've seen it with Brian Flores. We've seen it with the tampering with Tom Brady. And now this situation with Tua. Somebody really needs to investigate the Miami Dolphins thoroughly to realize like what is going on down there, because this is not the first time Miami has made the headlines in a really negative light.
Yeah, it's been that way for quite some time now. At least the better part of a year, or close to it. They've definitely been in the headlines for some negative press, right? And so, yeah, I hear your points. Juan, what do you say to those points? Do you agree? Do you think Tua should have been playing in this game?
The eye test says no, because of the way he was stumbling as soon as the first hit happened. And like it was obvious that that physiologically he was just not there. Stumbling around, a back injury cannot cause that, despite what Tua or the doctors were saying. And I've been seeing a lot online about people giving hate to the head coach, Mike McDaniels, for how he handled the situation. My take on that is, what do you expect McDaniels to do in that situation? The doctors medically cleared Tua to come back to the field, saying that he was perfectly fine to play. In a press conference addressing the situation, McDaniels has said, "Look, if I sit a player when he's injured, despite what the doctors are telling me, when does he come back? Like, how can McDaniels decide when Tua can come back if he's not listening to the medical staff in the first place?" So obviously, this is a humongous failure upon the medical staff that was taking care of Tua. Either they weren't asking the right questions, they weren't looking at the right things. Tua maybe lied to them. Like, we don't really know what happened in this situation that got Tua back out on the field when he clearly wasn't 100% ready to go. There's even reports about like one doctor, the one that brought the concussion issue forward to the NFL way back when, Bennett Omalu, he was advising Tua to never play football again after the severity of both injuries that he suffered in concurrent weeks. So honestly, this is a really tough situation to handle because a lot of NFL players have accepted concussions as a hazard of the job. That is going to happen eventually. But to watch it happen to a young man like Tua, who has been through the ringer by the press for his quote unquote fragility and glass body because he's hasn't been able to stay healthy, and trying to put the team and the team first mentality with regards to surpassing injury, it's just hard to know what you can say and what you can think without disregarding player safety or calling out a player's toughness when in reality he shouldn't have been out there in the first place. You're muted, Bob.
Yeah, so I don't think you can really question his toughness. I mean, Tua, he's played through injuries before. He's done all those things. But in this case, I agree with you both. I don't think he should have been playing. I said it from the. I don't think he should have been brought back in the game against the Bills. Once I saw him stumble, I said they need to pull him, and I don't care if he passes or not. He should not be playing in this game. It's a sad situation for all the points that you guys made as far as like his injury history and different things like that. His young career. I had a friend. A friend who said after he's seeing the injury, he said his career is over. Based on how bad that looked. And it did look really bad, especially the second one. It's tough because if the player is saying that he's okay, if the doctors are saying that he's cleared to go, it's just like Mike Daniels said, what am I supposed to do? Because if I start holding back players, I mean, then what, right? Like, how's the locker room going to respond to that? Outside of, just the player, like, it's a really tough situation. And the reality is this: we were trying to win a football game, right? We were trying to win a football game, and if let's say Tua gets cleared again for that game, and do you not put him back in? For me, I don't think it's a hindsight thing for me. I believe he should have been playing that week, especially as Chris mentioned on the short week. There are reports coming out that there were some tests that were excluded, that they did not go through all of the proper precautions before clearing Tua Tagovailoa to go back into the game against the Bills, which obviously does not bode well for the team in that outlook, especially again allowing him to play in the second game. The NFLPA is currently investigating it. It can take a couple of weeks to get everything done. But it's definitely being investigated, and so we'll see what comes of it. But I don't think he should have been playing. I think honestly, if he plays that game, the Bengals get cooked. I mean, they had absolutely no answer for his timing. He was extremely swift with getting the ball out of his hand. Him, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle looked like. They just looked like they were in so much sync, and we're not even talking about Mike Gesicki, who's a premier tight end in this league. So I think the Dolphins probably would have ran away with that game. One thing I will say is, Tua, you got to get the ball out your hands swiftly, consistently. Like, there are times when you hold the ball like that, you should have threw the ball away. I understand trying to create a play. I understand trying to hold it to the last minute, but sometimes you got to let it go.
thought you were going on a Matt Ryan style Tua rant on holding the ball.
Nah. But let's go ahead and move into our next topic, guys. Keep the ball rolling. And the next topic is simply this. What teams are contenders and what teams are pretenders? What teams are contenders? What teams are pretenders? I'm very, very curious to see how you guys are going to answer this. I mean, there's so many teams out there that look really good, and then there's some teams out there that look like they shouldn't even be in the NFL. And so I want to know from you guys, Juan, I'm going to start with you. Who are contenders, who are pretenders? Do you want me to roll off some names, or do you already have a list yourself?
Already got my list.
All right, let's do it.
My first both of them are very unlikely picks, and I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for them. My first contender is the Detroit Lions. Based off like what I have been seeing out of the Lions this season.
Wow.
This team has heart. This team has passion.
Wow.
This team is playing for something bigger than themselves and is playing for a coach who truly and honestly believes in them. It's like watching Friday Night Lights take out in real life. It's like it's honestly like amazing. You know, look, the stats are popping up the board. This is the number one offense in the league right now. They're averaging 437 yards per game. They're scoring 35 points per game. And Jared Goff looks like a man alive. He's not having to be a playmaker. He is getting the ball to the playmakers, your DeAndre Swifts, your Amon-Ra St. Browns. He's doing it's managing a good offense. I know the defense has its holes. It's 32nd in the league in nearly every conceivable metric that you can think of. It's allowing more points than they're scoring, but I have a feeling that Dan Campbell can right this ship as the season goes on. Remember, a season's not won in September. It's won in December. And I feel like the Lions will come back somewhere in contention around that time. And that's my first part of it. Now, pretenders, again, I'm making picks and I'm throwing things out that don't sound great. But the 49ers are pretenders in my eyes. All right. I don't think that Jimmy G is the man anymore that will lead this team to the promised land. I saw it against the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football. The dude is just the same guy as he was before. He can't throw a pass more than 10 yards down the field. He's too comfortable throwing behind line of scrimmage. Kyle Shanahan has to adjust the offense around Jimmy G's inefficiencies as a passer. The defense is phenomenal. Top 2 in the league across all metrics. And I know defense wins championships, but can Jimmy G be enough of the quarterback that he has to be to guide his team to where it needs to go? I don't think so.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to say much about that. I don't agree with either take. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo has a Super Bowl appearance, 2 NFC Championship game appearances. I think he can take them. I think he's proven that he can take them where they need to go with a solid defense and a good running game. And then the Lions, really, okay, one year where they look competitive, and now we're saying they're contenders, not like
the playoffs. I never said that they would make the Super Bowl playoffs.
I mean, contenders,
fucking playoffs.
Hey, I mean, okay. If that's your stance, stick to it. I'm not mad at it, Chris. Contenders and pretenders, man.
I'm gonna go contenders first. Honestly, I'm gonna go with the Green Bay Packers. They're contenders. Number one, as long as you got Aaron Rodgers in the field, you're always going to be contender for a Super Bowl. But I think everybody overrates the loss of Davante Adams. Does losing Davante Adams hurt? Yes, but Davante Adams isn't those guys who can change the entire complexion of a football team just because of his presence. He is a nice number one receiver, but he isn't like one of those premier players that flips the script and changes the entire landscape of a franchise. There's a reason why the Raiders are 1-3. And the reason why the Raiders won that game is largely because of Josh Adams and not because Davante Adams had a great game, but a lot of it was due to Josh Jacobs. But the wide receiver core that they have right now, they'll figure it out. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Alan Lazard, they'll get that timing right with Aaron Rodgers. And they have a really good 1-2 punch in Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon as long as those guys stay healthy. Even David Bakhtiari playing consecutive games is definitely a plus. And you got to love what they're doing right now on the defense. The way that they draft, getting Eric Stokes, getting Javante Campbell. Even with the loss of Ladarius Smith, you still have a really good pass rushing guys like Rashad Gary and the other Smith brother, and Jair Alexander's a top 5 corner. So I think by October, like the October and around like November, you're probably going to see what this Green Bay Packers team is going to look like for a postseason run. And hopefully Matt LaFleur understands that it doesn't always just have to be on Aaron Rodgers. You have a really good 1-2 punch to rely on in January. And we've seen that formula in terms of running the football work multiple times in the postseason. Maybe Aaron Rodgers leans into that. Contenders, pretenders. Honestly, I'm going to go to the AFC side. I think a lot of teams were pretty much overrated this offseason, but I'm going to go with the Colts. A lot of people picked the Indianapolis Colts to win the AFC South. And they right now, by far, and this is going to be a hot take, I think right now they're the worst team in football. They are. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, Houston, what about Houston? Oh, what about Chicago? We know Chicago wasn't going to be good. We know Houston wasn't going to be good. They're not playing for nothing. The Colts went with the mindset of we're going to get Matt Ryan to compete for the division, hopefully get a home playoff game, and maybe be a dark horse team to compete for a championship in January. But the reality is that Matt Ryan is showing his age. The offensive line is pretty much overrated. Jonathan Taylor is now hurt, and now they have to depend on Nyheim Hines. And more importantly, they've shown the complete and utter neglect on the defensive side of the ball for years now, in which the only 2 players that are worth their salt in defense is Shaq Leonard and DeForest Buckner, and Shaq Leonard is hurt. So right now, there's no margin of error for improvement. They don't have anybody potentially coming back to save them from injury. They have no speed on the outside when it comes to wide receivers. And more importantly, even if, let's just say you bench Matt Ryan, who are you benching him for? There's no upside. There's no like young potential guy that can go ahead and change the roster. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if both Frank Wright and Chris Ballard both get shown at the door after this very poor season that we're seeing from the Indianapolis Colts so far.
Yeah, it's a really bad start to the season. Nyheim Hines has come out and stated that he's like, hey, listen, since I've been here, we've had a new quarterback every year. Yep. Every year, we literally have to get reacclimated to a new quarterback. We're talking about Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Phillip Rivers, prior to that, Jacoby Brissett. Like, there's so many different quarterbacks that have been running through that Colts organization since the untimely and just random retirement from Andrew Luck. So it's been very, very interesting. And I think I've said this before. I don't think that they are contenders, but I don't believe they're pretenders. I believe that they are a team that is literally trying to find themselves. They're still learning themselves and trying to gel. I said this last week. If Matt Ryan had the full offseason, what would that team look like, right now to actually, just kind of gel with the players and different things like that. Same thing with the offensive line and different things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like. My contenders, though, I'm going to say, Chris, you kind of stole mine. I was going to say the Packers because the Packers are my pick to actually make it to the Super Bowl. But I'll say my I said it. My contenders are going to be you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to say my contenders are the Cowboys. Here's why. They're undefeated and Dak is hurt. Since Dak has been hurt, they've been undefeated. Now, do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? No, but I think they're going to be much better or harder out than people truly believe, especially when it comes to the playoffs. They're just playing complimentary football right now. They're protecting Cooper Rush at a rate that is absolutely astronomical. It looks like their offensive line from a pass rush standpoint looks really good. Obviously, we see the 1-2 punch with Zeke and Tony Pollard is clearly looking like the better back, but Zeke is just that constant workhorse. He's just going to keep putting his head down and getting you 2, 3, 4 yards of carry, and getting the dirty yards. And then, like I said, they're just making timely plays. Defensively, there's some holes, but they're playing well enough to have this team 3-1 and second in the division behind the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'll say that they're contenders to make a run in the playoffs. I don't know how far that'll be, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. And then pretenders, my pretenders, I'm going to say, man, this one's tough, but because I hate to do them like this. But yeah, I think it's a tie for me. My pretenders are the Seahawks and the Jaguars. I think both those teams came out the gate and they're playing very, very strong football. They're playing football that you want to watch, right? You want to watch these teams play. I'm not going to lie. I loved watching that first half with the Eagles and the Jaguars. That was really good football on both sides, or excuse me, for both teams. Jalen Hurts looked like what I considered to be the NFL MVP. Early on, Trevor Lawrence looked like, again, that he has command of the offense, that they trust him, all of those different things. It just looked really good. And then from the Seahawks standpoint, they're competing in every single game. Every single game. Now, defensively, you don't want to see, like the amount of points that were scored in their last game was absolutely astronomical. But the fact that they were able to pull that game out shows that they're able to put up the points as well. And so, like, for me, they look really good, and they're playing complementary football. They're playing football that you want to see. But I think they're pretenders. I don't think it's going to last. Geno Smith is good, but he's not great. And Trevor Lawrence is still young. And so until they can figure some things out, I don't think they have enough weapons in Jacksonville on the offensive side. I think they're doing okay. I still think they're missing a couple pieces. So, yeah, man, those are my contenders and pretenders. But, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoa. Avery. Is it really pretending if they didn't have any sort of expectations before the season? I'm just saying, the first month of football, we talked about how great the AFC West was going to be. And right now, I see 3 pretenders in that entire division, not named the Kansas City Chiefs. The Raiders finally won a game. The Denver Broncos, as talented as they are, you're not going to get far with a head coach.
For me, I can't go with the preseason stuff. I can only go based on what I'm seeing, and what I'm seeing that they're putting on film is like I'm seeing that the Jaguars and the Seahawks look competitive. They look like they can win any and every game that they're in. Like they look like they can make a run, and I think it's just pretend. As far as the Raiders and different things like that, like the Raiders, for me, like I think, I was never high on them in the first place, right? I still thought there were plenty holes that on that team that they didn't look like they were going to be. Again, and like you said, Devontae Adams is not a game-changing type of receiver. He's a very good complementary receiver. He's a number one without question, but he doesn't change the game the way a Tyreek Hill, an Odell Beckham, or prime Julio Jones would have changed the game, right? So for me, like, I don't see that. Yeah, that's just me.
I was about to say the Geno Smith renaissance has been something I did not expect to see come.
I agree 100%.
Like he's playing like a top 5 quarterback in his league right now, and he really shouldn't be.
Now
but look at the weapons. He literally has the same cast as Russell Wilson had before he left. DK Metcalf is still there, Tyler Lockett, and hey, they're actually using the tight ends. When was the last time a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks actually used the tight ends?
That really kind of like leads.
Well, since before Russ, clearly.
Yes, exactly.
But with that being said, Russ is actually playing tonight. So let's get to this topic here. Let's knock this out. The Broncos versus the Colts. We're going to get our preview, our Thursday night football preview. Broncos versus the Colts. I'm going to ask you simply, guys. Chris, who's winning this game?
The Broncos should win this game. If they don't win this game, then you should probably reconsider the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett. It's a short week. The Colts don't have their two best players in Shaq Leonard and Jonathan Taylor. Their offensive line has been letting Matt Ryan getting beat up, and Matt Ryan is moving like Ben Roethlisberger. You have no reason in terms of
later year Ben Roethlisberger.
Later year Ben Roethlisberger, yes. But no reason for you guys to have Bradley Chubb, Randy Gregory, and not feast on Matt Ryan tonight. You should have no reason in terms of the way the Colts defense has completely declined over the past 3 years to not light up the scoreboard with having Russell Wilson as a top 5 quarterback with Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. I'm sorry. It should be a blowout.
Okay,
but
I don't disagree. I just disagree with the decline over the last 3 years of the Colts defense. I'm like, they were a top 10 defense last year, but okay. Juan, who's winning this game and why?
It's unzip the hoodie time.
Oh, he's unzipping the hoodie, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Denver Broncos. The expectation should be a blowout. Russell Wilson has to find his groove here. Nathaniel Hackett, for a lack of better terms, has to find the cojones to actually do something against a team that is just down in the dumps and is directionless with regards to its identity. No Jonathan Taylor. What else do you have on that Colts offense? And I'll give my first of 2 hot takes for this one. Patrick Surtain
he's starting the hot takes off early.
Patrick Surtain has 2 interceptions, 1 for pick 6.
Okay, I love it. All right. Well, ladies
and one thing I gotta hop off. But the one thing I'm going to say, stats are misleading. The Eagles were a top defense last year, but look at the cast of quarterbacks that we played last year. Stats are deceiving.
You got to play the schedule, and the schedule that they play.
Now we're doing that. Okay.
I've been doing that.
I'm talking to Juan. That because no, you were talking about the schedule last week. Oh, it was hot. Oh, so that's why the Bills, that's why the Bills were struggling because it was hot. Like, what?
That's the temperature, not the schedule.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, that's a completely different thing.
Completely different.
Listen. You were talking about, they beat the Patriots who weren't all that good and all that. So you was taking shots at the Dolphins schedule for the 3-0 start.
I'll still take it. Hell, they should have been in my other pretender slot, the Miami Dolphins.
All right.
I'm just saying, they were 2 injury away from being 4-0. Take care, guys.
All right, Chris, we appreciate you, man. Have a good one. Thank you for jumping on. Peace. All right. Well, Juan, I know you know what time it is, so we're not going to waste any time. It's time for the game picks. I did not have a chance to update the records, but I'll make sure that we make up for it next week. But with that being said, we're going to get into the game picks. Again, we need your game pick, and you only get one explanation throughout them all. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, my explanation. So I will be going with the where is it? So I always have taken Denver. I'm also going to be going with Green Bay to beat the New York Giants in London. I'm going to be taking Buffalo after that. Then I'm pulling up the NFL schedule right now because I have my picks. I just don't have who they're going to be against.
Sure. Buffalo versus Steelers.
Yeah, so definitely Buffalo on that one. I'm taking the Chargers over the Browns. I'm taking the Vikings over the Bears. Detroit, I have beating New England. Seattle, I have beating New Orleans. Miami beating the Jets. The Bucks beating the Falcons. I have the Titans beating the Commanders. I have the Jaguars beating Houston. I have San Francisco beating Carolina. I have Dallas beating the Rams. I have the Eagles beating Arizona. Since I have Baltimore beating Cincinnati and Kansas City beating the Raiders.
All right. Not mad at it at all. All right, so I'll go. Colts versus Broncos. I'll start there. Give me the Broncos at home. Yeah, give me the Broncos. Falcons versus the Bucks. Come on, man. I'm not going against my guys yet. The Falcons, that's right. We're going to get one. Giants versus the Packers. I kind of want to pick the Giants here, man. They're just playing really good football, but I can't go against Aaron Rodgers, so I'll go with the Packers. Steelers versus the Bills. Give me the Bills. Chargers versus the Browns. Give me the Chargers. Bears versus the Vikings. Vikings. Patriots versus Lions. Ooh, that's a game right there. I'm going to go with the man. I'll go with the Lions. Seahawks versus the Saints. Give me the Seahawks. Dolphins versus the Jets. Give me the Dolphins. Titans versus the Commanders. Give me the Titans. Texans versus Jaguars. Jags. Panthers versus 49ers. Give me the 49ers. Cowboys versus the Rams. Give me the Rams. Eagles versus the Cardinals. I'll take the Eagles. Bengals versus the Ravens. I'll take the Ravens. And then Raiders versus the Chiefs. I will also take the Chiefs. Yeah, I think I'm solidified in my picks. But it's time for Hot Take Thursday. You already gave one hot take.
Mm-hmm.
What is your next hot take here?
Before I do, I just want to say one thing. My record for last week's picks, 14-2, y'all. Oh, I went on a run. I'll take that.
Solid. Not mad at. It's time for the hot takes. You already gave one. Is that your only hot take? If that's it, then you're good.
No, I have another one. I'd say that it is a get right game for Baltimore against Cincinnati. And I am calling for a Ravens blowout against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Joe Burrow is going to throw 2 interceptions in that game. And Lamar will have 4 total touchdowns the whole night. 2 passing, 2 rushing.
Not mad at that at all. I like it. I can see it happening. For me, my hot take is simple, man. I know I picked them to win this game, but again, I got a feeling. Giants beat the Packers. They beat the Packers. That's my hot take. They're going to beat the Packers in London. It's going to happen. Wow. That's my hot take, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. That's right.
People of Wisconsin, call on your God, for he is being.
Listen, that's all I'm saying. Well, this is the Aired Out Podcast. That guy there, his name is Juan. My name is Avery. Please don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms. That is Facebook and Instagram at Inside the Hashes, Twitter at Inside Hashes, and please do me a favor. Go ahead and check out the website. That's www.insidethehashes.com. You heard it right, ladies and gentlemen. Check out that website. And then after you do that, go on ahead over to YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on the notification button so you know when we are actually going live and you get all your stuff, all your comments and things put in our live show. And then if you're wondering, man, I want to go all those different places. Here's what you can do. You see that right? You see that right there? Scan that QR code. It'll take you exactly where you need to go. Go ahead and scan that code. And we can't wait to have you a part of the Inside the Hashes hashtag Air It Out Podcast family. Again, for Juan, I'm Avery. This is the Air It Out Podcast, brought to you by Inside the Hashes. And the reason that the Colts are so bad is because Matt Ryan has been patting the football. All he has to do, think about it. If he stops
Matt
patting
Ryan
the
was
football,
good for what he was.
It's going to be that much
borderline Hall of Fame.
the biggest
The era is over. You're going to keep doing this every time. What about when Matt Ryan retires? How is that?